Mr. Lowman. I teach upper school ceramics and sculpture, and I am the K-12 Fine Arts Department Chair. What I'm going to do today is sort of a traditional demonstration that I do for students when they're first starting on the wheel, and they really embrace this idea that when we start, we're not going to just wedge up one lump of clay and sit down for the first time and start to make, because that'll last about 30 seconds and your hands are all sloppy. You got to go over and get cleaned up and wedge up another piece of clay. So what I encourage them to do is to wedge up 5 or 6 opportunities so that they have multiple opportunities for one sit down at the wheel, and then they can go from piece to piece. And we normally will start by talking about centering the clay and sort of the mechanics of the wheel. So getting a piece centered is really about 2 pressure points, one that's moving in from the left and one that's moving down from the right hand. And once we have it centered, you'll see that there's really no wobbling of the lump of clay. Squeezing slowly and making sure I'm not thinning out to any one spot. The view of what it is to look at a piece from the inside. But the point is we're trying to make sure that the walls of the piece are the same thickness, and we're leaving enough clay at the base. You know, in some cases, students will struggle with getting a piece made, and I think the ideal conversation is you don't necessarily have to make something that is overly refined right now. You need to sit down and figure out how you can make something work for yourself. And if there's little teeny dings and this or that, make it work. Make it work somehow. If they're just starting out in ceramics in general, I would say keep an open mind. If you're starting out with ceramics on the wheel, I would say the more time you spend in the process, it's going to come out in the end. It's like any muscle memory activity of playing an instrument, learning a new language, learning how to play tennis or something like that. You're going to get what you put into it. But also that element of realizing that your ability, your skill set is represented and trapped in the surface. So these pieces are going to be around for thousands of years, and that's pretty poetic. There's an existential quality to the way I approach the next step, because I'm a part of that. I'm a living being, and that's sort of a living being as well. I have to sort of engage with that. You can never just sort of let a piece go and not think about it in terms of the drawing, the glazing, the bisquing. All these little steps are very, I think, existential in a way. So I think embracing the material, the ancientness of the material, and the ancient process, and then in today's sort of fast-paced technological society, this is just a really great analog mode of learning and working.